you identify as male, you competed as a female. Help folks understand how you identify as a male, but compete as a female, and the tricky, intricate rules and regulations from the United States Olympic Committee, the IOC, that kind of thing.
Well, when I say I identify as male, it's truly just an identity for me right now. Like I'm not on any hormones, I'm not on any hormone blockers, I haven't done anything medically to change who I am.
No gender?
Nothing. But the reason why I compete as female is because I still am a woman. Biologically, I am a woman. I haven't gone through anything to change my biology. And I did that purposely because I was competing at a level that I wanted to stay at, and I wanted to get as far as I could in my sport. And I just didn't know, and I didn't think I really could do it as a male in the male field right now. The way it works, though, is the IOC rulings. I hope I'm quoting this right. You have to be on hormones for 2 years, and you have to have top and bottom surgery. I haven't been on hormones, and I haven't had any surgery, to change anything on me. And so
as you determine, you say to yourself, I identify as a male, and you have been for years now as Keelin, but understanding that you will compete as a female, what kind of pushback did you get? What kind of support did you get? Whether it's from your fellow competitors, coaches, fans, officials? Was it a mixed bag?
Most of the people I compete against really haven't been a problem. I think the only time I've ever had a problem has been at some of the rinky-dink meets that I think some people they're not as familiar with me or haven't thrown against me as long. A lot of the people I compete against here, I don't think they give a crap. Have
they ever said that to you?
They haven't, but I feel like, if they really had a problem with it, either they're being polite enough to keep it to themselves, or they really just don't care, and it's just a competition of who's the best hammer thrower today.
It's so important for you as a person in your heart, as you lead your life, as you explore everything that you want to as a human being, as you identify strongly as a male, but compete as a female. Is there a collision? Is there a collision there?
Every day. It has been the hardest decision to make, and the hardest decision to continue to make every day, because every day I have to make that decision.
Yes, you do.
And I feel like a lot of the times within the trans community, I've gotten a lot of backlash because I haven't transitioned. I've been out since 2005, and that's a long time to be out and not having done anything. I get a lot of backlash.
No hormonal paths at all at this point.
Nothing.
Nothing. And so you're transgender.
Literally nothing.
So folks would say to you, why aren't you pulling the trigger on that?
I've heard I want the best of both worlds. I want to,
How do you answer that?
I'm not getting the best of any world. I am a very genderqueer presented person right now. I consider myself a little bit of excuse my language, but a gender fucker right now, because I don't pass as anything.
How does that feel? Do you feel like you're on some island?
A little bit. I mean, it's hard because I see a lot of friends around me who have started, going through their part of their transition, whatever it is, if it's hormones or if it's surgery or if it's both, and it's hard because you get jealous and you want to be supportive.
But competition keeps you correct?
Yeah, track saved my life. It is my life. It saved my life. If I had track, I don't know where I would be at right now.
Now Keelin Godsey currently in fourth row.
Being a hammer thrower became such more of an identity than being a transgender person was.
You're getting emotional.
Well, it's because track and field is everything for me, and I am a transgender person, but I'm just a guy that was born as a woman. I was just unfortunate that I had a little bit of a birth defect there, and
Keelin.
And but I'm a hammer thrower, I'm an athlete, and that's something I'm very proud of. And I'm not saying I'm not proud of being a transgender person, I'm very proud of that too. It took me a long time to say that. I was so ashamed of who I was. It took until about a year ago for me to really be proud of who I was as a transgender person. And
was there a moment? where you finally said, enough, I'm going to say it, I mean, when we shook hands and you looked me in the eye and your shoulders were square?
Yeah. I don't know if there was a moment or if there was just a realization that I've done a lot and I should be proud of it, despite everything I had to go through to get to it. I think some of it is I really wanted people to know that you can do it too. Like, there's so many people that don't compete because they identify as, you know, gender queer or transgender, somewhere under that umbrella of terms, and you can, it just is harder. And I also just wanted people to know that I'm not going to be ashamed anymore of what I am or who I am.
Let's go back a few years so that we can understand your journey a little bit better. Your name was Kelly at birth.
Yeah.
You stayed as Kelly for a long, long time, and through, I'm imagining, grade school and high school.
Yeah.
There was some bullying, perhaps some teasing. I know that there were some physical attacks.
Yeah.
You were the gay kid.
I truly was not like some of the other trans people I've met in my life, where they knew from birth that they were transgender. They knew they were a different, you know, gender. I didn't. I just knew I was different. I didn't know what it was, and it was very hard to deal with. And in high school, I identified as a lesbian because I didn't know what else to do. It didn't fit me, and it never did.
Okay.
And so how else? But when you don't know what I didn't know what trans was until I was in college. So how the hell am I supposed to know what to do? You know? And so I hated myself. I felt like a freak. I hated everything about myself. I went through a lot of bullying, and like a lot of gay GLBTQ kids do. I went through a lot, and it made me hate myself more and more and more. I was such a transphobic person to myself because I felt like I was being I justified what everyone told me in high school and what everyone told me before that I was just a freak. And when I finally decided to come out, that was it. Like, I don't know.
And that was because of a gender studies class you took with a professor, is that correct?
That's how I learned about
just what transgender was all about. So
and I was just reading about it, and then I started reading about it. Bates had a phenomenal library of resources on that, actually, and I read everything I could.
And you said the light went off.
And the light went off. And it was a light that I didn't want to go off. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be okay with being a lesbian. I really did. I wanted to be okay with being a very butch lesbian. I was like, I'll just be a stone butch lesbian. I'm all about that. But it never felt right.
What does it feel like when you are just so confused and ashamed, and
it feels like your insides are coming out. It feels like you can't even, I for my experience, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror without being disgusted. I couldn't, I was so ashamed of who I was. I think I needed to learn that I was actually a decent person.
Did someone have that conversation with you, or was it all?
I went through therapy.
Did that save you too?
That helped me a lot, and I think some of it was I gradually started to meet really good people in my life who helped give me the courage to not be ashamed of who I was. And I used to be ashamed of being a jock, because I liked to be smart, and I felt like every time anyone heard a jock, when I was going to PT school, I didn't want to tell anyone that I was in sports, that I was one of the top hammer throwers in the country, because I didn't want them to see me as a dumb jock. I wanted them to see me as an athlete, or as a PT student, as a good PT student. There's still a lot of people, like most of the people I see on a regular day, I don't know if they actually know I'm an athlete. I mean, my colleagues do. They think it's the greatest thing.
16-time All-American, 2-time National Division III champ, one of the best hammer throwers in the country. Are you kidding me?
I keep that to myself a lot of the times.
Not anymore.
I know.
Say it loud, say it proud there, buddy.
Yeah.
And when you finally come out, family support, friend support, or did that take a while as well?
Friend support, family support took a long time. I don't talk much about my family because they're trying. And I think we're both trying.
Okay.
And it was hard at first, and I think they're trying, and that's all that matters. And I think it takes time sometimes. And friend support, I lost some friends. I actually had the hardest time within the gay community that I thought I felt pretty comfortable within, and
That surprises me.
at the time, at that time, I felt like I lost that community because I wasn't gay and I wasn't straight and I wasn't bisexual. I was just kind of, because I feel like a lot of people take transgender and make it your sexuality instead of your gender identity. And in my experiences, and this is my experiences, I don't want it to be like, this is every person's experiences. I've just found that the GL community has been sometimes very neglectful or omitting of the T and the B.
And maybe even a little judgmental?
Maybe, yeah. And I feel like a lot of times the T is taken out because it's not seen as a sexuality. Where lesbian, gay, bisexual are sexualities.
Interesting.
And I feel like sometimes that's why it's taken out. And
I never thought of it that way, quite frankly.
But at the same time, transgender people have a sexuality, whatever it is. Whether it's straight, gay, bisexual, lesbian, they have a sexuality too. It's just, I feel like that's one reason why sometimes it's taken out.
Okay. When you and I talked briefly yesterday, I was under the assumption that perhaps you were finished with the hammer throw upon the completion of the Olympic trials, and then perhaps some hormonal treatment.
I think almost everyone's under that impression, and I gave that impression ever since I came out in 2005. I said London was the last go around.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just not saying it is either. I need to do some serious thinking right now. And to be honest, I would be lying to say that I haven't been thinking about this the last year. I also have to think about how much longer can I possibly do this charade of this I don't even know how to say it. It's like a dual life that I feel like I live, like where I'm like one person here and another person there, and
identifying as a male, competing as a female.
And I don't know how much longer I can actually do that. I don't think I could ever stop throwing. It's so much a part of me. I don't think I could ever stop.
Will the NCAA come to you and say, there are more transgender athletes coming out, help us? Kai Lums is a great example, transgender male playing basketball at George Washington until recently.
Fantastic.
Will the IOC come to you? Will the USOC come to you? There's been some progress.
There has been some progress, and I think that progress should really go to Helen Carroll and Pat Griffin. I really don't think I should be. My involvement was just showing up and doing my sport. Those two individuals have been busting their asses off, trying to make sure that people like myself, people like Kai,
with NCLR and GLSEN.
And GLSEN,
yep.
And the Women's Sports Foundation has done a lot of work.
Okay.
Their hard work is the reason why a lot of this is possible. Kai paved the way for Division I. I paved the way for Division III, and most,
But we're talking, I take divisions out of it. We're talking collegiate athletes that are going to, that bringing a whole set of really intricate challenges to the table that must be met.
And I think it's true. And I think the fact that, him and I both just came out and did it, just said, fuck it, we're doing it.
Exactly.
I think that's what needed to be done. When I came out, I swear to God, when I came out, I was like, I don't understand what the big freaking deal is. That's what I said. I don't understand. I'm just being me. Why is everyone making a big deal out of this? I think it took me several years to realize this is why it's a big deal.
Do you understand it now?
Yeah.
How crucial it is.
It is crucial. I understand it now when I know of men and women in sports who can't identify as men and women because they're so afraid of losing that sport, because that sport is their life. It's not about breaking barriers. It's about equality, and it's making that equal for everyone.
I think barriers, oftentimes, when you seek equality, barriers must be broken.
And I agree.
Do you understand what you have done and are doing? Will you at least allow yourself to understand the role that you're playing
Yep.
to break barriers and to ensure equality.
Yes, I do understand it, and I'm very proud that that's the one thing I've always been really proud of for myself, is that I was brave enough to do it and continue to do it. And I truly hope that there are more and more of us out there. I hope to keep on reading that there are more men and women able to do this, because
young kids that are going to see the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Keelin, Sports Illustrated, the transgender athlete.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I flip over here. Are you kidding me? Hold that up. Come on.
I know.
In fact, wait a minute.
This is truly Pablo and Dave.
Come on. You're covering up your face here.
Pablo and Dave were phenomenal men to do this article, and gave me one of the biggest honors, because they made it. I actually think they were some of the people that opened my eyes. They were the two people that helped open my eyes a little bit to what I actually was doing, and to how much it could mean.
Young people who read this magazine, or whose dads and moms read this magazine, are going to say, I'm not alone.
No.
Maybe if he could do it,
Yeah.
I can do it.
Absolutely.
This is important
It is.
stuff.
It's very important, and I think it needs to continue to happen. And I think I need to step up my game a little bit.
How so?
I think I need to be a little less afraid to talk about it. I would like to be a better advocate for people in sports as far as transgender athletes, and I would like to be a better advocate for that, and be able to speak a little bit on behalf of that, because I think it's important, and I think it's important to see sometimes that it's not a pretty picture, that there is a lot of internal struggle, that it's not as simple, and it's not glamorous either.
What's your message of hope, though?
My message is hope
it
is
gets
it
better.
can do. It gets better. I almost made the U.S. Olympic team. I made a U.S. national team as a transgender athlete.
History.
And it gets better. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier. And I think it takes a lot of work to finally realize that at some point you will get to the point where you can say, you know what, this is where I wanted to be.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that way back when you looked in the mirror, you were disgusted. When you look in the mirror now, what do you see?
I am starting to become really proud of who I am. That's all. I think that's the best way I can answer that. I don't see the person I want to see, and I think a lot of that is because I have held off medical transition for so long, and so I think that's part of it. But I feel like I'm starting to see the person I want to become.
Will medical transition be part of your plans?
Yeah.
Are you frightened of that?
Scares to death. Only because I think it just it changes your life a little bit. I think sometimes I just get worried about, will that change the relationships I have with people now, because now it's more in their face instead of now where they're like, it can kind of be out of sight, out of mind. And I think a lot of people, I don't think it will matter. I think most people it won't matter. I just, you never know.